Okay, we were talking about chapter 35 of Job. I feel like we're still on the same idea here with Elihu. I still feel like he's saying the same thing as the other three, but just in a different way, a different premise. Which is 14. Although thou sayest thou shalt not see him, yet judgment is before him, therefore trust thou in him. Therefore, join my church, join my system that's broken. Right? That's what I think we're talking about here. Trust the system. It works out. Are you acknowledging Satan? Satan is introduced right at the beginning of the trial, and then he's forgotten about for the rest of the book. Are any of you yo-yos aware of him? And are any of you yo-yos, are you aware of the grace of God and the mercy of God? But now, because it is not so, he hath visited in his anger, yet he knoweth it not in great extremity. Therefore doth Job open his mouth in vain, he multiplieth words without knowledge. See, he says that, but Job has made his case pretty clear, and Job does it in a humble way, in my opinion. You go back to Job, everything Job said. Job didn't sound like a jerk at all amidst all of that, Yes, he mocked his friends a little bit, but they deserve it. Because they make up stuff like Job multiplying without knowledge. Job is a lot smarter than you, young punk with your liberal arts degree. And all these people have not experienced what Job has experienced. Losing all of his stuff, his family, his whole life, his world, his wife, telling him to curse God and die. It's, my righteousness, my righteousness is more than God's? He didn't say that. All he claimed was that he didn't do it. It's like Rambo. I didn't do anything. Yeah, you did. Get out of my town. You're not allowed in my diner. Thy wickedness may hurt a man as thou art, and thy righteousness may profit the Son of Man. Is it the same concept? By reason of the multitude of oppressions, as they make the oppressed to cry, they cry out by reason of the arm of the mighty. But none saith, Where is God thy Maker, who giveth songs in the night? Because of the pride of evil men. I feel like he's subtly accusing him again. I mean, maybe the writing's kind of beyond me, but I guess we need some help from Dr. Ruckman. All right, let's start with the first note. There are 3 notes here, and they're all pretty big. 35:2. Thinkest thou this to be right, that thou saidst, My righteousness is more than God's? Okay. Here's the note. The salvation of every adult on this earth hinges on this verse. This is the ultimate sin that earns capital punishment and torment forever. See John 16:9. Alongside this sin, pedastry, embezzlement, fraud, lying, swearing, killing, stealing, cheating, sadism, masochism, and murder are kid stuff. This is the verse that damns a man. It is pretending that he is as righteous as God. Ooh. That's sorry to keep bringing you up, Chris, buddy. We have conversations all the time, and he was telling me he's been arguing with people on Facebook. It's his hobby. He likes to do it. He's good at talking to people in general. He should be like a professional argumenting person. I don't know. Well, he does it anyway, on Facebook. He likes to argue with people all day. Anyway, he just can't get past the idea that how atheists can't realize that evolution is a bunch of nonsense. And, every day evolution, the argument is collapsing. Everything they taught me in school about evolution has been a bunch of nonsense. So, therefore, if your theory of how we came to be, and this has been taught for, what, a century now or something, ruined whole generations of people. Now we've got a bunch of screwed up people walking around that believe in evolution, that believe you came from a rock, and so Chris is against that. Obviously, Chris believes in God, and so he's on my side. We're arguing against that, and I say to Chris, because he's frustrated with arguing with these people, because there's nothing more to say. And but I say to Chris, so study the other side of the argument. So if there is no God, then what is the point of existence? What is the point of life? And Chris immediately responds and he says, well, some people like to think that they're a good person and they live a happy, productive life just being a good person. See? There it is. It is pretending that he is as righteous as God. In the Garden of Eden, at the beginning, I guess you could make that claim with Adam. Adam didn't sin. He was made perfectly until he listened to that lady and ate the fruit with her. Then we got problems. But that's exactly what they pursue immediately after you ask that question, what is the point of life without God? Then they say it's being a good person. It's living a peaceful, pleasant life and enjoying this life and being a good person. They think they're a good person. They're usually not. They're usually jerks. And they have a pride, which we're talking about also. But then they would say the same thing about me. You're prideful in your Christianity, you scum. But that's not... well, I guess you could make that argument, but I tend to lean toward the dinosaur statement, which is, I'm lower than dirt. Dirt laughs at me. So I don't have too much pride in myself. But a lot of people like to have that. I feel we should be rejecting that. I think we should be like little kids. Even as you get older, like, why have pride in so many different things when you could just be a humble little kid just enjoying walking with God, It is pretending that he is as righteous as God. They're pretending. God's righteousness is defined as his Son, Jesus Christ. John 16:9, Romans 3:21 through 26. Every unsaved man and woman on this earth has looked their Creator in the face and then claimed that their righteousness was as good as or better than his righteousness, which is his Son. Romans 10:1 through 4. The sentence for the sin is eternal death, John 3:36, because the sin is against eternal righteousness. It is God's righteousness, not yours. There it is. Thank God. Now, I said it somewhat correctly, right? Because I'm arguing that we all should be returning to a state of being little kids. And if you're a little kid, you don't really have the same mentality as a horribly corrupt adult, you know? You, you're pretty much sinless before God if you have the mentality of a little kid. So I'm partially correct, but, let's focus on his note there. It's Christ's righteousness that makes you right. So anyone that claims that they have their own righteousness or they can live their own righteousness, my truth, they're wrong. Sad, but they're wrong, and they're in trouble. They need Jesus Christ as their Savior. And I'll be back.